Sung Woo grumbles to himself about the group spending 1,000 gold on that made-up post without a second thought. While money pours down like water in the comments, our sharp kid instantly senses something fishy, and the scene cuts to a dim parking lot. While a gang of shady-looking thugs loiters in the parking lot, one of them questions why people even bother hunting monsters. After all, hunting other players is much more rewarding. While an ordinary human head is worth 500 gold, taking down a level player can earn you over 1,000. The other guy, grinning wickedly, confesses that cutting people is both easier and strangely more pleasurable. The other two sitting in the car are gossiping about their boss. But the boss is acting like he's fried a circuit, clutching his head as if it's about to explode, screaming, "Red Professor," at the top of his lungs. The guy next to him looks like he's about to wet himself, asking if he means that famous serial killer, but the crazy boss is already lost in the past. In her memories, she returns to that moment where she's cornered by a monster, rather, a vampire showing its sharp fangs. While the vampire whispers that he needs types like him, our protagonist draws his sword and asks Hanho if he can kill a human. Turns out our boss became a low-ranking bloodsucker after that vampire bite and ruined his life. Actually, he was just a simple thief looting markets with his gang, until a twist of fate. He was bitten by that damn monster, turned into a vampire, and his first act was to slaughter everyone in his own gang. The vampire lord watched our guy with delight, slurping up the corpses on the ground and giving him a "well done." Now, the inhuman boss was ordered to feed and grow stronger until the day they meet again. Snapping out of it as the man beside him shouts, the boss wakes from that bloody dream and returns to reality. When the other guy tapping on the glass asks if something's wrong, the boss says everything's fine, he was just daydreaming, and asks what the man really needs. The man shows his phone with a smirk, announcing that the prey they've been waiting for has finally fallen into the trap. A message from player 157 says they're coming to the park with 2 people. When the team calls for a meeting at the park, the boss's eyes light up, and he immediately orders everyone to drive there. With an evil grin, he thinks about how perfect the apartment complex's open area is for hunting suckers. Just like those naive types they were talking about. The local residents are too scared to make a sound, all cowering in their corners. Once the boss runs out of prey, he plans to slaughter everyone in this building. The man in the driver's seat slams on the brakes as he notices the group standing in the road. With their backs turned and hoods up to hide their faces, the boss loses self-control seeing the group. He orders the man not to stop and to drive over them, crushing them all. The driver hits the gas and plows into the group at full speed, but upon impact, it's not blood, but bone fragments flying through the air. Turns out, under those hoods, it wasn't humans, but our skeleton army. Sung Woo turns those flying bones into lethal spikes, impaling the car and causing it to crash into a total wreck. Before the boss can realize what's happening, someone smashes the window and drags him out by the collar. Our main man slams the guy down, holds a sword to his head, and asks if he's the one who made that damn post. While the boss is tongue-tied, our smart guy shows he's suspicious of the deleted comments. Turns out they realized something was wrong and set their own traps. But even he didn't expect those guys to get so psycho that they'd run them over with a car. That boss guy is glaring at Sung Woo, acting tough because he thinks he knows who they are. Instead of answering, our guy kicks him right in the face and, as his sidekick watches, asks with a cold look how many men he has upstairs. When he threatens to rip his head off if he doesn't answer, the guy laughs like a maniac, suddenly attacks, and asks our guy if he's ever killed anyone before. Right then, the right hand appears and slashes the man's arm with his sword. While the man screams in blood, he looks at Sung Woo with disgust and says that even if the world ends, he is not heartless enough to kill without hesitation. But of course, we can't say the same for your bags of bones. Just as the orc skeleton raises its axe to finish him, the guy starts laughing in another fit. Ours thinks the guy's lost it from the pain, turns to the other one, and asks if they should start the torture with the legs or the arms. The other guy realized this life isn't for him and sang like a canary, saying there are 8 people upstairs. Before he can even finish his sentence, the boss digs in those sharp claws and kills his own man. Hanho and Jisoo watch in shock as this maniac takes down his own ally in one move. The man's arm suddenly transforms into a deadly, sharp blade. He mercilessly rips off the poor man's head and starts drinking his fresh blood. Absolute brutality. This disgusting feast doesn't just heal his wounds, it also sends his stats skyrocketing. Turns out this guy used to be part of a cool 3-star ninja class. But the moment the boss sank his teeth into her neck, her career went down the drain and she turned into a low-ranking vampire. It's impossible to level up in this damn class. The career path is completely blocked. The only way to get stronger is by devouring the stats of the players he kills. The man stands up in a rage, lets out an earth-shattering roar, and activates his berserk mode. This gives a 20% boost to all power values. Even our main character Sung Woo is horrified to see a class more disgusting than his own necromancy class. The group instantly enters tortoise formation, as the bone bag skeletons form a defensive line, acting as meat shields at the front. Sung Woo knows full well this vampire can one-shot them all if he slips up once. He takes a risk and orders the attack on the bone army. But the vampire is much faster than expected. Sung Woo tries to pull the skeletons back to defend, but the monster smashes through the bone piles like toothpicks. And the target is directly our boy. Instead of dealing with puppets, he's determined to take out the puppeteer, the Lord of the Dead. Sung Woo barely manages to raise his shield milliseconds before that sharp killing machine hits his face. He almost bit the dust. Right then, Hissa sneaks up from behind and lands a slash with his sword, but the maniac just laughs it off. Now he's got his eyes set on this brave girl. Trying to hit the girl, he's stunned by the dagger stabbing into his back. When he turns around, he sees Hanho with a devious smile. Hanho rains down blades like a machine gun with his twin daggers. Vampire is seriously pissed off by these fly bites exploding on his back. And the target changes again. In the blink of an eye, the vampire lunges and pounces on poor Hanho. The kid doesn't even get a chance to react. Luckily, our loyal skeleton right-hand man steps in at the last second and parries the attack. The vampire dodges the sword, but Sung Woo dives in from behind with an axe, yelling surprise. Unfortunately, the monster's reflexes sense it too, like it's using cheats. With one hit, he shatters the axe. Our protagonist clings to his shield for dear life, but the power he faces has already surpassed human limits. He dodges attacks like he's dancing, while mocking them. "You're too slow, losers!" She's so caught up in playing with Sung Woo. Jisoo makes a legendary entrance from behind with her flaming sword. But ours pulls aside as if he has eyes in the back of his head. That annoying laugh again. He's totally showing off, telling the girl he saw these attacks coming from miles away. And at that moment, he leaps from the right bank, swings his sword, and severs the vampire's left arm from its body. The monster's painful scream echoes across the map. Taking this opportunity, Sung orders the entire skeleton army to pounce all at once. Right in that chaos, the vampire's lackeys storm the stage. The wounded beast smirks, saying his men arrived just in time. But when his men see their boss in this terrifying monster form, they start trembling with fear. While those idiots just stare, Jisoo lands another blow with her sword. The right hand and the rest of the bone bags are joining the party. They're all ganging up on me. The vampire tries to struggle, but now it's his turn for a beating. And the final blow. The main character stabs his sword into the vampire's neck, says, "Let's see if your head regenerates," and brutally tears it off. This carcass is worth a solid 1,000 gold pieces. Because the guy who died was supposedly a level 1 player. Sung Woo is horrified when he realizes that killing people earns him gold. The system is a total perversion. He fixes his eyes on the sidekicks in the corner, and asks if they're butchering people for money. The group starts trembling with fear. Surrounded by an army of bones, our main character walks towards them like a mob boss and orders them to drop their weapons. Life is sweet, of course. They immediately cave, drop everything, and surrender. Once the interrogation starts, they sing like canaries. Turns out there's a big boss, but they don't know who it is. They were just following orders. The poor souls didn't even know their boss could turn into a bloodthirsty creature. Sung Woo is suspicious. Or is this mysterious boss the one creating those strange monsters? If that's the case, what could the guy's class be? Could there be divine classes even higher than 5 stars? Leaving his thoughts behind, he asks the men how many innocents they've killed so far. When someone hears they sent 21 people to their graves, he loses his cool. It sends that icy chill right to their bones. Finish them off. Even if they whine and cry about just following orders, his mercy has already run out. He shows no pity. He knows if he doesn't clear out these types now, they'll hurt others tomorrow. Jisoo flinches a bit at this cold-blooded execution. But deep down, he knows it's true. Just then, a new comment appears on the forum. Someone is warning someone's group about this pack of killers. Turns out they are registered killers. Reading the comment, the sergeant flies into a rage, realizing that as if the monsters weren't enough, people are now at each other's throats. Psychopaths who network people are popping up everywhere. Right at that moment, another comment appears. User 157 chopped those killers all up with the skeleton trap. So our protagonist has already taken care of those monsters. The sergeant reading this breaks into a bright smile. He realizes right away that they're the mysterious, powerful crew they've met before. One of the soldiers says there's a radio, but the sergeant's like, never mind. He's proudly saying our saviors have made history once again. Scene changes. A mysterious man in armor reads the comments and feels grateful to Sung Woon's team. It's hopeful to see people who still think of others, even in this apocalypse. Our guy exits the stage by walking coolly towards the bright light. Our team hits the road, saying, let's step on it. While MC and his gang roam those eerie roads, Han-ho shows up glued to his phone with some breaking news. The poster chose a cool name for himself, Prosecutor Yang Dongpa. Adam is literally holding a memorial service, calling out to the other players. It says if you're not rich enough to make your own post, you poor souls who can't scrap together 1,000 gold can comment right here. While Jisoo and Sungwoo discuss how people turn this post into a wailing wall to find missing relatives, they mix in synergy effects and monster talk. Looks like this digital charity work has really paid off for those broke gamers. And then the team finally arrives at Han-ho's place, at his home. When Ours looks at the house, his face turns pale as a ghost. He's freaking out, praying to find out if his family is inside or if they've already become angels. MC steps in right away, saying, son, hold on, things are messy enough, let's be cautious, to calm him down. But seeing the piles of orc corpses on the stairs, Han-ho is pushed to his breaking point. Praying for his parents at the door, his hand trembles as he reaches for the handle. There's a massive claw mark on the door, and seeing it scares our guy to death. Mom starts screaming for her to open the door. Suddenly the door creaks open, and the parents stand before us safe and sound, with worried expressions on their faces. When they walk in and start talking, that's when the real bombshell drops. These two crazy old guys haven't even picked a class card yet. Sir, I'm not feeling these cards. While everyone is eating in nephew mode, Sungwoo can't take it and asks Uncle, how did you stop those wild orcs? The doors of all the other apartments were broken, the orcs tore through them, but their doors remained solid as a fortress. Baba Bay lets out a hearty laugh and drops the bombshell. I sprayed bug spray and they ran off. Hearing this, everyone's brain short circuits, including the MC, of course. And the mother is proud of her husband's chemical warfare. He's telling how the orcs who ate the bug spray hightailed it. Han-ho's about to spit out his drink in shock. Once the meal is over, the mother prays for Sungwoo and Jisoo for bringing her son back safe and sound. Since there's nothing else left at home, she's bringing green tea as a treat. Han is like, oh mom, I threw daggers and fought, and all that. But the woman doesn't even care about her son. While they rest inside, some kids on bikes show up outside. That evil grin they have while looking at the lights, it's the kind that chills you to the bone. It's Jisoo's turn for the shower. When the poor girl gets out of the bath, her mother sees her frail state and sighs. Oh dear, she's nothing but skin and bones. Oh, she doesn't know that delicate girl would eat your son alive. Han-ho thinks to himself, man, this girl is 30 times stronger than me. When it's finally RMC's turn, he's like, what a relief! It relieved him to know his friend's parents were alive. They're relaxed now. Turns out he managed to use those sensitive orc noses against them. Otherwise, these two sweet old folks would have been through the meat grinder like the other players long ago. Even if the world turns to hell, beautiful things can still happen. Once the showers are done, the team gets to work, saying cleanliness comes from faith and weapon maintenance from survival. Han-ho asks the MC, we can't settle here. What's the plan? MC summarizes it by saying we'll first pick a spot on the map and then just head out. Sung Woo's brain is working like a machine again. Those orcs were probably just scouts. So this place could soon turn into a massive pitched battle. They need to plot a route fast, but they don't know where to go. They've lost their way. Just as they're deep in thought, Han Ho shoves the phone in their faces and screams. That angel of mercy guy, the one called the prosecutor, who enabled the comments, just posted again. According to the post, they set up a safe zone at Yangdong Post Station with the help of a 3-star tank-like friend. But of course, free cheese only comes in a mousetrap. They want gold or supplies to keep the region going. Jaiso looks suspiciously and asks if this guy can be trusted. Safano already believes the man's heart is pure, that he's an angel without wings. But Sung Woo won't buy it. He's still suspicious of this guy. He turns to the team and says, "Now the reason for yesterday's post is clear. Even if the safe zone isn't a lie, they wouldn't spend 1,000 gold for charity. There's a catch behind opening a new message board. So they're not exactly doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. Look at the comments. People are practically worshipping the guy. Praises are flying everywhere." Sung Woo figured it out. This jackal is gathering followers and building clout. They'll build a giant army soon at this rate. If that happens, they'll have all the resources handed to them without lifting a finger. It's a total Ponzi scheme tactic, Han Ho. He can't believe people could be this cunning even on Doomsday. He says maybe we're overhyping MC, bro. But that's out of our way anyway. The station's too far, we can't go. Then Han Ho catches a comment from someone named Chef Gu. Adam claims there's another safe zone in the Zone Castle. But he wants rent too, you know? MC hates the word rent, but the fort idea and having a safe zone interests him. He's asking how long it takes to get there. Han Ho, it's 20 minutes by bus, he says it's right there. Hearing that the distance is short, the MC makes a decision. Destination, Vasone Castle. While packing up, MC apologizes sheepishly for dragging the parents along. But Dad is smiling. "Now that you brought my son back safe and sound, I'd follow you even to hell, my man." Quite happy. Han Honen's mother drops a bombshell right before leaving. "There aren't just monsters out there, son. Watch out for bandits in human form, too. The types loafing around the neighborhood?" While our main character stares blankly at this, his father summarizes the situation. Turns out they're just high school dropouts robbing people and causing terror on their bikes. Sung Woo takes a deep breath. The apocalypse wasn't enough, now we have to deal with these teenage thieves? Then a motor revs, they look back and see a bunch of kids acting like they're in the mafia. They're blocking the road and acting tough, telling everyone to hand over everything they've got. They think they can just shake us down. Sticks in their hands, threats on their lips. But ours asks with a wicked grin. "Are you sure you have us outnumbered, boys?" Right then, glowing eyes appear in the back, and our teen gang just hauls us out of there. While the group wonders what happened to them, Sung Hoon's face drops. He realizes things are going south. When they turn around, a chilling scene unfolds. A giant wolf pack is eyeing them for dinner. Our guy says back off slowly. He has no intention of wrestling with four-legged monsters. I'm past the claws. The balance of animals is perfect. If one falls, they'll be toast right there. They take refuge in the apartment in deadly silence. Han Ho asks if we're safe inside, but he already knows the answer. The wolves are waiting at the door. They could burst in at any moment and turn this place into a slaughterhouse. No escape. Just as we're planning, the inevitable happens and one of the wolves slams into the wall like a kamikaze. Sung Woo instantly throws the acid bottle and starts burning the beast to a crisp. While the wolf howls in pain, the skeleton army begins a rain of spears. Fighting from a distance is their only option right now. When another wolf tries to barge in, ours offers the orc skeleton as food. The wolf rips the skeleton's head off, but there's something he doesn't know. That bag of bones is full of acid. Sung Woo laughs as if you've swallowed the bait, seeing that his trap worked. For the final blow, his right arm flies from the first floor to deliver a lethal strike to the wolf's head, and 246 goes into the pocket. The other wolf breaks into a cold sweat seeing you march towards the skeletal spearman. Cleaning up the rest is child's play, and Sung Woo gobbles up the XP to reach level 7. When Jisoo starts tripping, thinking she's holding us back, our girl immediately comforts her. He says things were complicated, but he's thinking something else entirely. The girl's class is the Tiger Hunter. So he's actually a total physical damage machine. He just hasn't reached his potential yet. On the other hand, Hanno is a total disappointment. With neither power nor talent, he's making a fool of himself even while trying to revive the wolf. Since his level isn't high enough, the poor guy tries to change the subject by saying, "Let's get out of here, it's not safe." Elsewhere, it's pure chaos as a military helicopter flees from a dragon pack. The captain is cursing at the sergeant for the incomplete report, while the pilot yells back that the engine's gonna blow anyway. The pilot nails it. It was the captain himself who ignored that report at the time. Suddenly, the field boss wyvern notification appears, and the giant dragon catches the helicopter like a fly. It smashes the pile of metal, lands on top of a building, and lets out a terrifying roar that shakes the whole city. Our team freezes when they see this. Their dreams of the military saving them are shattered. Her dad notices the dragons are getting ready to nap in the building. The situation is grave. They're so close to the safe zone, but moving with that monster out there would be pure suicide. Sung-Woo says we have no choice but to wait, tells everyone to hit the sack, and sets up camp. When night falls, the dragons fall asleep. While the group crawls on the ground, Sung-Woo sees a glimmer and that familiar system notification. Just like the first day of the apocalypse, the second stage of card selection to decide their fate begins. Han-ho keeps yelling at his parents, telling them not to pick loser cards like him. But his father, with the air of a 20-year gambler, says, "Leave it to me, son, I wrote the book on this." Sung-Woo realizes he only has 15 seconds left. This card will add power to your current strength. While everyone's snapping up cards, the options before you start to disappear one by one. Han-ho is staring at the stars like a fool. He doesn't realize he's about to be fooled by the glitter. But ours is a smart man. He knows very well you can't choose just by looking at a star. He's looking for the perfect combo to match his skills, and finally finds the legendary card he's been eyeing. Our guy picks his card instantly, without any hesitation. Without a blink, he sticks to the 3-star Dark Magician card. The system kicks in, announcing that this card will merge with its current class to grant it brand new lethal abilities. He takes a look at his skills and he's feeling great. It all fits perfectly with his terrifying Necromancer class. Meanwhile, Han-ho is sobbing his eyes out because his hand slipped and he accidentally picked some loser 1-star priest card. And the skill he gained is a joke. It only gives a shield for 10 seconds after killing an enemy. While the kid is wailing there, he hears his father ask, "Did you pick the right card, son?" He looks up at his father's card and is shocked. This guy got a 3-star Vanguard. He's literally a walking safe zone now. Sung-Woo's eyes light up when he sees this. They don't have to go to that damn castle anymore. While Han-ho's father continues to show off, he turns to his mother and asks what she chose. The poor woman only managed to find the 1-star chef card. Hearing this, our snotty kid mocks his mom, telling her she should pick something actually useful for the war. With this family drama in the background, Sung-Woo turns to the main point and asks Jisoo for her card. Our girl grabbed the 3-star marksman card, gaining the passive ability Supreme Senses where her spider sense kicks in during danger. Jisoo looks at our main character and sighs. The guy has literally turned into a monster. What are the tactics and what else in war? He executes flawlessly and makes ice-cold decisions even under pressure. No matter how hard the girl tries. He thinks he can never be like her. But he's not just gonna let himself be crushed. He has to get stronger, so he decides to carve his own path. He knows if he can't be a killing machine like him, he must harden both his mind and body like steel to survive. Our guy calls his dad to the stage to have him talk about this talent. It lets the Pathfinder class set up a camp. But not for free, of course. It consumes 10 mana every 10 minutes and protects players from monsters. It has limited space and can be shattered by powerful attacks. When the player runs out of mana, it all comes down to money. The safe zone starts costing 100 gold every 10 minutes. Sung-Woo's doing the math right away. It's impossible to find that much meaning and money in their current state. Plus, gathering a crowd for that area is a total suicide mission. It's best if this talent is just to use in emergencies when their lives are at risk. They also need to find a solid spot for the camp. Han-Woo takes the bait like a sucker. He's asking if they're going to the castle. Our main character takes a look outside and says, "No need, man." Knowing that existing groups would get intoxicated by power and turn tyrannical, he believes staying away from people is safer than monsters. Looking out the window, he sees that massive dragon starting to move. The dragons finally merge into the sky and vanish. So, it's time to leave the building now. Sung-woo tells Manhwa to check the forums and find the shop locations. Our guy has already saved up over 24,000 gold in his pocket. Since it's unclear when he'll face those high-level creatures again, he must spend this money to get stronger. Manhwa still can't find a shop even though he scoured the forum. Just then, the sound of engines rises outside. With the dragons gone, those punk kids are back on the streets again. Manhwa says nervously that they might be the guys from yesterday. With a devious grin, Sung-woo says they should ask these kids where the shop is. After all, they're stripping the people blind. I'm sure they have somewhere to spend all that gold. The brats are talking shop while they walk. Last time they weren't so lucky, but this time they're planning to hit the jackpot. Like the saying that 90% of gamblers quit right before they hit it big, they're living in a fantasy world. The punks are heading back to their dens, but it's as quiet as a ghost town. They open a room to find their friends huddling in fear. When the kid asks where the Supreme Being is, things take a different turn. Her crying friend says that psychopath came and took Yusin because he thought the money wasn't enough. Right then, the Great One bursts in and screams, "Shut up!" The guy asks if she's okay, but her face is pale as a ghost. She's literally turned into a vampire. The girl glides toward the boss's office without responding. The boss inside is asking that Taesung kid why he killed his man. He says the dead man was loyal to their cause and was their leader. As for the kid, he's defending himself, saying he attacked first and we had no choice. The boss is asking if you're going to kill the Exalted One too. Then he stands up and starts philosophizing. Vampires lose their minds if they don't drink blood. Taesung shyly says he doesn't think you know how many innocent people that dead man slaughtered. This phrase drives the boss crazy. Are you talking back to me? Getting into the mood. He reminds them what a great favor he does by letting them work, and that they'll die if they don't obey. Taesung was about to say fine and bail, but the guy wasn't done yet. He stops him and issues his death warrant. If you don't bring 10,000 gold in 2 days, you'll be the next corpse. As this tension builds, sounds begin to come from outside. Sung-woo and his team are barging into the bunker like they're walking into a grocery store. Our guy starts looking around, grumbling about what kind of customer service this is. The boss is confused. He thinks he's a customer and asks what he wants. Pathetic. Ours points his sword at the guy and tells him to cough up everything, like some street gang leader. But the vampire in front of him starts spraying like he just heard a joke. And to top it off, he's acting tough, saying you have no idea who you're messing with. When Sung-woo notices those sharp teeth in the man's mouth, he fires off the question. Or are you the leader of this apartment gang? Turns out our guy sent all his sidekicks to the afterlife. When the boss notices this, he naturally loses it and goes ballistic. He tries to pounce on them in a rage. But the orc skeleton grabs him by the arms like, "Hey buddy, where do you think you're going?" Our necromancer starts the conversation by asking if your head would grow back too if he cut it off with his sword. Both orc skeletons have the vampire trapped. Sung-woo digs the sword into his throat and drops the real bombshell, saying if you move, you're a dead man. So, are you that famous vampire lord? Hearing this, the vampire bursts into laughter again. He breaks his chains like Hulk, shatters the sword to pieces, and fixes his eyes right on our boy. But they won't buy it. It's as if ours could see the future while driving the daggers in. Jisoo leaps onto the stage and severs the vampire's arm in one move. The poor soul is screaming in pain by the waterfall of blood. The fire burns so badly that even his famous healing ability is failing. Jisoo can't stop herself and takes the guy for another round of dance with her flaming sword. This time the vampire manages to dodge, but our girl is sharp. She quickly ducks and lands another strike from below. Completely out of control, the monster goes on the attack. But Jisoo is incredible. She's fighting as if mocking a vampire's speed. The vampire tries to grab the sword and play it smart, but thanks to the girl's new ability, she can already sense the danger coming. He slips away easily, and right then, Sung Woo-hyun's orc skeletons sneak in from behind. Thanks to the death aura, our bone bags are getting buff like they're on steroids, while the enemies become just as pathetic. Sung-woo is thinking to himself. Back then, these pathetic skeletons would have been one-shot by a vampire. But now they're holding on like lions. They're forcing the vampire to his knees. When the poor creature can't find a place to hide, he starts crying. What do you want from me, you bastards? He fixes his eyes on Sung-woo. He finally realizes that this cold fish is calling the shots. Since ours looks scrawny, the vampire carp is already making a plan. He's dreaming about getting close and taking me out in one shot. He thinks he can catch me off guard by making small talk. But before he can even take a step, bone spears pierce his body. The guy is turning into a kebab skewer. Sung-woo is very calm. I guess you can talk through all those holes. Naz says don't do it. He gives a wicked look and asks if he should keep going. Tae-sung, on the sidelines, watches the psychopathic behavior with his mouth wide open. While I was wondering how they made such a fool out of this monster. Our shish kebab vampire is having another laughing fit. Don't get cocky just because you beat me, brats, he says, and starts turning into a hideous freak. He's talking like you're all screwed once the plans kick in, but Sung-woo is losing his patience. Cut the sound. At your command, Jisoo takes the head off in one blow. It's ending. Tae-sung is trembling in fear at what he sees. He starts begging desperately. Man, he's crying like, brother, I swear we have nothing to do with this, we're innocent. Sung-woo put on his wicked smile and... Relax, he says, just return everything you swiped, and that's it. The thieves are spilling everything, but the haul is pathetic. Jisoo, eyes fixed on the vampire carcass, asks. He wonders if this is the big boss the other vampire mentioned. But ours, who knows who? He says the guy is clearly getting stronger. The guy even has men out collecting protection money. The bastard is literally building a kingdom. He's strategizing. Jisoo can't believe someone is adapting to this chaos even faster than Sung-woo. It's like these guys waited years for civilization to collapse just to go crazy. Our guy knows this vampire army is endless. Because they bite players and turn them into themselves. It's a total Ponzi scheme. He wants to just shrug it off, but that's not how it works. He needs to gather the whole team. They really struggle just to download Tekken. If they swarm us, they'll crack our guys open like sunflower seeds. After today's chaos, it's clear as day their paths will cross again. When Sung-woo asks the teens where the shop is, Tae-sung obsequiously jumps in to lead the way. Just as they're about to set off, a notification pops up on the system. They're all freezing. He's talking about the naive tricks who don't pick a card even with a second chance. But the writing is bright red. This is not a good sign. While Sung-woo feels the "we're screwed" sensation deep in his bones, one of the teens starts screeching. Turns out this guy didn't trust the system, acted all dramatic, and didn't even pick a card. He points at his friend and sells him out, saying, "Look, he didn't choose either, I'm not alone." The red notice hits them with the bitter truth. Those who don't choose a card will turn into monsters. Both of them begin to roar as they start to transform. Sung-woo eyes the transformed freaks and makes a split-second decision. This is over our heads, time to leg it. We're certainly not naive enough to wait for them to complete their transformation. Our boy orders everyone to strike the bastards, while those disgusting creatures are still confused. While this massacre unfolds, Hano's poor parents are outside breaking into a cold sweat. They wait with their hands on their hearts. While his mother, with her pure heart, was worrying about these thief kids not having a future, his father puts his foot down and sets the record straight. Honey, those brats made everyone suffer terribly. They even sent people to their graves. That's why they deserved every bit of trouble they got. Inside, our bag of bones orcs are busy kneading the monsters like dough. The goal is clear. To finish off those freaks before they reach their full form. Or all hell will break loose. Our guy knows if they miss this chance, they're screwed. But right then, one of the wolves gets so hyped up that he charges straight into one of our skeleton piles. Crack, the skeleton splits right down the middle. Even our guy is thinking, wow, check out that strength. Luckily, the right-hand man and the other orcs recover quickly and continue beating the wolves. And finally, the victory is theirs. They're raking it in for every creature they kill. 3,000 gold each and whoosh, they're already level 8. Ours looks at the carcasses on the ground, terrified, thinking they would have eaten us alive if they'd fully transformed. Because the system won't let anyone get away with that much easy money. He draws a random stat boost from the lottery, and luckily, he gets a buff that increases his speed by 3 points. He's quite happy with his situation, of course. Jisoo is right there too, like, well done, hit those notes, talking like a coach because things are getting serious. The enemies aren't stupid. Once they realize he's the puppeteer controlling the skeleton army, they'll all swarm him. On the other side, Hano has snapped again. He keeps whining about when this nightmare will end and how many more monsters we have to kill. Ours just grins cheekily and says, "Easy, champ, I've got a plan." He's lost his mind. He plans to add these monsters to his slave army. What will people say? He used to avoid touching human corpses so he wouldn't be called a creep, but that ship has sailed. It's a time for survival. There are still plenty of rookies around who can't even pick a card, and all of them are about to turn into drooling monsters. If he wants to stop this horde, the Necromancer is being unfair. He has to ignore the words and raise those skeletons. He thinks maybe this way we can go head-to-head with those blood-sucking vampire snobs. Taehyun watches in horror as his friend turns into a skeleton soldier for hours right before his eyes. With an icy stare, Sung-Woo asks, "Where's the shop?" He says, "Spit it out." Taehyun, trembling with fear, spills that the shop is in that famous used car dealership. Explaining what kind of people they are. Look, he's saying we're just petty thieves picking poor people's pockets, but they're on a whole different level. Turns out that gallery crowd were just lackeys for the vampires. They were literally hunting humans. Hearing this, Sung-Woo gives the order. "Follow me, we're going." They make a cool entrance surrounded by orc and wolf skeletons, but our guy immediately suspects something's fishy. This huge place is deserted. There's not even a single guard. Then a loud bang goes off, and he immediately yells, "Get down!" They see a giant bear monster beating the daylights out of a vampire. As the bear swings the iron chains, the vampire loses his sense of reality. Sung-Woo gets the picture as soon as he sees the chain. He wonders if they were keeping this monster prisoner. Then the penny drops. This was probably some poor person they kidnapped. Poor guy turned into a bear because he couldn't pick a card. "You're finished, vampire!" he shouts and dives back in. But the wounded bear, saying, "Now you're finished," slaps this on and flings it right back. Our guy is rubbing his hands together. This chaos is the opportunity he's looking for. If he plays his cards right, he can add this bear's skin to his own collection. While those two are fighting, ours sneakily unleashes the wolf skeletons on them. One of the wolves swoops in like an opportunistic striker and stakes the vampire. The bear goes, "What the hell?" grabs the wolf, and just starts squeezing. But the other wolf circles around behind and leaves the bear a deep scar with its claws. Taking down the bear adds another 3,500 gold to the wallet. Blessings on it. But the roster's full. To sign someone new, he's gotta kick someone off the team. He tears one of the orcs apart without a moment's hesitation. And instead, he's bringing that massive bear onto the field. Man, that bear is huge, built like a skyscraper for a mid-tier minion. Suddenly, Han Hober screams, "Aha, our school bus." The bus is parked among the scrapped cars. Apparently these bloodsuckers rounded up all the students and brought them here. Sung-Woo is doing the math. If they've turned everyone on the bus, they're facing an enemy force like an army. Warning that they'd be wasted if they rushed in blindly, he hits the brakes and turns to Taehyun, saying, "Go on, tell me about this shop business." Just as Taehyun is about to give directions, someone suddenly slaps his hand. He turns around, and you won't believe what he sees. His friend Yujin. But the girl's already turned into a vampire. Hearing the vampire girl's name, he starts to smirk. He says, "Don't worry. I didn't touch your friends. Because I see them as my own children." Turns out the gentleman came to see who slaughtered the vampires. Sung-Woo gets the picture. The girl's body has been possessed. Our guy wonders if you only showed up because you felt your minions dropping dead. And then he delivers the punchline. "You talk too much for a vampire lord." The vampire laughs and says, "What should I do? When dealing with someone stupid, I have a habit of explaining every single detail. That's why they call me Professor. Though usually, nobody cares what I say. Because they be dead." Then he gets serious and says, "Anyway, let's not drag this out. In short, you're all going to end up 6 feet under." Just like that, he slaps a low-level curse right onto ours. We need holy magic to get rid of this plague. No one else has that. The vampire lord laughs with delight. Just as the enemy goes into full hunter mode, Sung-Woo's kick explodes in his face, rearranging the guy's features. While Han-Ho questions his friend's humanity in horror, our hero is busy examining that ominous red mark on his hand. Just as he's wondering if this is a damn death warrant, lucky for him, that horrific spell is currently just for show. Han-Ho puts on the priest robe like a bargain angel and extends his budget-friendly holy light toward his friend. Looking at this scene, Sung-Woo thinks divine standards must be hitting rock bottom for a monkey like his friend to become a priest. The healing spell backfires as expected, and instead of clearing the curse, it sends a live GPS location to the vampire lord. Just as the dinner bell for the monsters is set to ring every 12 hours, the system suddenly sends a suicidal special quest notification. The mission is simple: sending the vampire lord to his grave, pocketing 30,000 gold, and grabbing a C-rank ticket as a bonus. Our psycho decides to hunt the hunter instead of running, gets the drop on Taesung, and beats the vampire's address out of him. After snatching the intel, the team dives into a D-class pawn shop to put their lives on the line. 4 different luck balls from bronze to platinum await them, and the coolest one is worth a full 100,000 gold. Our hero has a cheap ticket to unlock platinum, but he's too much of a hoarder to actually use it. He's so confident in his strength that he decides to save this life-saving ticket for a tougher day. Finally, he settles for gold like a peasant and locks onto that gambling screen that will decide his fate. Recalling his past gambling addiction, he calculates the odds and fixes his gaze on the top ball like a predator. With that wicked grin that would make the devil jealous, he bets everything on his blind luck, regardless of the price. The universe plays favorites. He lands on his feet again, gaining a Master Tier class skill that costs 0 mana. With this broken skill, he can store his bag of bone soldiers in a pocket dimension to rest. But there's a catch: vomiting too many skeletons at once triggers a death curse, because being a mage is risky business. While his friends look at him with pure hatred and jealousy, Jisoo pushes him aside and steps forward to try his luck. While they gamble, Sung-Woo starts storing the army of the dead in his new dimension, like stuffing them into a giant closet. Now he can carry a whole army in his pocket, and plunge the world into chaos whenever he's bored. Planning to show off to his friends, he's delighted to see Jisoo pulling out a pathetic Class B first aid kit instead. And to top it off, it's just useless camping gear. Han-ho just stands there, holding the cowhide armor. Sensing murder in the air, Sung-Woo changes the subject while the vampires hold students captive like cattle in a slaughterhouse. Surrounded by the mangled bodies of his friends, Kyung-soo beats his head against the stones, localizing his regret for not following the protagonist sooner. He realizes how stupid the idea of taking everyone to the military base was and that they paid for this mistake in blood. Fleeing from dragons like mice, they reached the base only to find it already destroyed and were struck with horror. Panic broke out among the students, and they all started looking to Kyung-sun like lambs to the slaughter. The poor boy couldn't understand how he suddenly went from being just a driver to the captain of the sinking ship. Right then, some fool with a phone started the rumor that there was a safe zone in the castle. While everyone expected a miracle from him, Kyung-soo felt a reckless confidence and led the herd straight into the wolf's den. Of course, it was a terrible decision. Instead of a safe zone, they fell straight into the hands of vampires who see students as snacks. The survivors are enslaved, and a vampire kicks Kyung-soo, telling him to walk or face the consequences. The monster laughs and reminds him that if he's that tired, he could eat him up right then and there. Hearing the menu options, Kyung-soo looks on in despair, accepting that he'll turn into vampire droppings just like his friends. Just as the vampires are about to feast, a tiny, harmless-looking skeleton appears before them. Pastis points his sword at the hunters, and when the vampires see this cute thing, they burst into laughter and start mocking him. One jumps to tear him apart, but as Sung-Woon's army emerges from the shadows, that vampire gets skewered like a shish kebab. Kyung-soo's eyes shine with hope as he sees the god of death has finally arrived to clean things up. But when our hero steps inside, Kyung-soo realizes with horror that the power gap between them has grown into a vast abyss. Both attend the same school, but one is a god of war while the other is just bait. And the vampires are taking a stupid attack position. While the skeleton bear turns a vampire into mincemeat instantly, Sung-Woo stands in the middle, looking completely arrogant and cool. Kyung-soo watches trembling as he orders them to slaughter everyone, leaving only one alive for questioning. Not just the Necromancer, but even Jisoo has turned into a walking disaster compared to before. As the last vampire begs for mercy among piles of bones, she calmly asks Sung-Wook how many players are inside. Of course, he also wants to know the levels of the vampires in the building. Our cowardly vampire's been in there only 5. Blurted out that he's a level 1 regional manager. As for the players, there are 12 in total, but even the strongest is only level 4. Stayed at that level? What a pathetic situation. Our protagonist thanks it for its honesty, but has no intention of letting this creature live. Panic-stricken, the vampire tries to explain the building's security. He screams that he knows the situation inside, but in vain. Because the thread of your fate has already been cut. Right then, Kyung-so calmly plunges the knife in. With his last breath, the vampire says he knows about the shady business at the factory. Starting to cry, she screams that none of those bloodsuckers inside deserve to live and they all need to rot. Even if his friends were cowards, he thinks they didn't deserve a death like this. Sung-wook touches Kyung-sun's shoulder to comfort her. It reminds you that you've done a good job surviving until now. After all, these vampires around them didn't just turn into killers overnight. They are monsters hidden among ordinary people, just waiting for a small opening of chaos to emerge. The old world might be over, but that doesn't mean they'll let creeps like this walk around freely. While sorting through the kidnapped players, one of them naively asks the regional manager how long this will last. With a nasty smirk, the regional manager explains that these people are just stores of food and XP, which is much easier than hunting monsters. Plus, they're much more practical. He praises corporate cannibalism, saying their bosses have an incredible vision. Hearing this, the guy gets fired up and says he wants to be part of this perverted vision. He basically falls in love with his executioner. He explains that if the vampire works hard, he can become a permanent member, just as he rose up from the warehouse. Just as he's talking about the career ladder, a mocking voice from behind startles him, and he's cut mid-sentence. When she turns around, she sees Sung-woon standing there alone. Our boy is laughing out loud at how they mistake losing their humanity for innovation. The principal asks who this arrogant person is and starts walking toward him with his team, while the students in cages recognize their savior. A spark of hope shines in her eyes. When the vampire hears them talking, he loses it and screams, reminding them they're just food. But Sung-woo gives him a cold look and asks if his precious boss ever told him who he really is. At that moment, the vampire realizes it and understands that the person in front of him is the one who sent Director Park to the afterlife. Our main character, hearing the word director, asks if storming the factory alone is just some white-collar roleplay. The manager knows the guy is reckless, but he still doesn't think he can take them all on by himself. With a confident smile, Sung-woo says he'll turn them all into appetizers using his skills. Suddenly, a black smoke starts to cover the entire floor. The employees are terrified when they see the panel announcing that the Great Soul is activated. Skeleton minions leap out of the smoke one by one, turning the scene into a total horror movie. With the birth of the minions, the death curse is triggered, crushing all the employees' stats. The vampire finally feels to his core what it means to face someone truly terrifying. As the skeletons mob them, they're falling apart one by one. The manager tries to calm them down, but panic has already set in. Even if the vampires kill a minion, that pile of bones reanimates instantly. The manager is starting to fume with rage. Unable to contain his rage, he kicks and shatters one of the orc minions and heads straight for the puppeteer, knowing it's a sacrifice. But before he can move, an acid bottle hits his head, leaving him dazed. He screams as his face melts. Hano makes a great shot from the first-floor window. While the vampire writhes in pain, Jisoo begins to rescue the hostages. At the same time, Kyung-so smashes through the factory wall in his bus like it's paper. It's a total action scene. He's calling the hostages to the bus. The vampire tries to attack them, but fails to notice the wolf lunging at his right arm. The werewolf skeleton knocks him down, right arm springing up to position for the final blow. With Sung Jin-Woo's incredible buffs and curses, the vampire's chance of survival drops to 0. Our main character says this abandoned factory they chose as their operations center is the easiest target to raid. The vampire breaks into a cold sweat upon realizing his opponent is not just strong, but whip-smart. With blood spurting from his arm, he hears his boss's voice. The CEO offers him a fragment of his power to take down Sung-woo. Sung-woo watches in shock as the vampire suddenly grows into a fierce beast. Things are getting ugly. Getting a report that a high-level vampire has gone berserk. Looking at this completely changed, disgusting image. He's asking if this is its true form. Furious, the vampire lunges at them and begins to tear the skeletons apart. Even though the main character orders an attack, the vampire holds them all off alone, crushing the skeletons with his speed. Before ours even had a chance to notice Jisoo, she flew over him like a shadow and plunged her sword into the bloodsucker's back. As soon as he turned around, the skeleton on the ground grabbed his right arm and threw it at the vampire's head. Our bag of bones just floated through the air and sliced that vampire right down. While Sung Woo was pulling off some flashy moves in midair, a stray orc almost bumped into him, but the vampire turned the beast into mincemeat in one single move. As vampire Sung Woonin shreds the minions, ours keeps resurrecting them out of spite. Hanno stands aside, mouth agape, watching Jisoo unleash her terror alone. The girl is basically a one-woman army, but our necromancer looks a bit down. Things aren't looking bright. The vampire's about to run out of juice from blood loss, he knows this, but the problem is Sung Woo's mana might dry up before he faints. Plus, the beast is mad with rage, a total killing machine. But if it runs out, that's when the real disaster begins. If he stops using orcs as a meat shield on the front lines, Sung Woo is cooked. But there's a bigger problem on his mind. This monster is just a lackey. Sung Woo shudders, thinking of how terrifying the true vampire lord behind the scenes is. While ours is busy resurrecting minions, a werewolf corpse catches his eye. He turns back to the vampire with a smirk, mocking him as if to say, "Sorry for stealing your guy." The system went wild when a fresh werewolf joined the team. A crazy synergy buff just hit all the bone bags, and things are heating up. The vampire's brain just fried, of course. Poor guy had no idea what hit him when those weak skeletons he was just crushing suddenly turned into Terminators. Sung Woo, attack! He gave the order. The werewolves pounced on the vampire like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet and started gnawing on him alive. Complete brutality. Sung Woo, look into the eyes of the dying creature and say hello to your boss. Wa Song Shubin is bankrupt, kiddo, he said, and snatched a 10,000 gold payment from the system. But what's that? The system's tagged this corpse as a player. Ours is already up to no good, rubbing his hands together thinking he can make this one his slave too. He couldn't revive the previous vampires because he'd cut their heads off like watermelons. It had all gone to waste. But this time, the head's in the right place. The material is solid. He immediately casts dark magic and stands the corpse up. Now he's a vampire skeleton. He had his new recruit sign the contract, telling him he'd be sweating for him now, not for that lordly snob. Right then, a notification sound from the system. Ding! What was it again? He can supposedly infiltrate the memories of the corpses he controls. Look at that, his eyes are sparkling. What is this? With that, he dives curiously into the vampire's mind. Of course, he didn't have such a luxury with the previous bags of bones. Just as he's wondering if a new skill has unlocked, he suddenly finds himself in that dark meeting of the vampire lord. The lord asks while showing off with a glass full of blood instead of a wine cup. What's the deal with this game, guys? Not a peep from anyone. He answers his own question again. To evolve. The psychopath doesn't even care if the game came from aliens or gods. Their only concern is this chance, this chaos. It's a golden opportunity for them. They seek to shed those fragile human bodies and create a superior species. Adam is literally dreaming of taking over the world and building his own twisted order. Watching this unfold, Sung Woo is consumed by a fit of rage. So this maniac is pulling the strings. The vampire lord continues to speak condescendingly. A new mission's come in. I won't take no for an answer. You're all going to help me, he says. And those in the room are like, as you wish, your majesty. Hearing this, he gets suspicious. Are these Iserlands losing their minds or what? There's not even a single sign of rebellion against the lord. Complete submission. Then the lord reveals that famous plan. Word is, there's gonna be a celebration party at HVA Somme. He says, gather as many people as you can and let's have fun. But the glint in his eyes says otherwise. Who's the manager sticking with the catering duties now? It finally clicks for Sung Woonin. The food they speak of, they're literally running a human farm and throwing a slaughterhouse party, the perverts. He tricks poor people with lies of a safe zone and lures them right to him. Then they'll enjoy their meal. Right then, Sung Woo is given a special mission. A chilling mission, just like that damn moment your professor died. The subject is clear. The bloody feast the vampire lord will host, that massacre party. There are two ways, either be a hero and stop the massacre, or be an opportunist and build an army from those corpses. The choice is yours, your fate depends on it. Hanno is whining at his head. When ours went into a trance in the memories, that snotty brat already started wailing. There goes a sweet boy. Sung Woonin is trembling with fear, thinking he's been captured. When our guy finally opens his eyes, he finds a sobbing, sniveling Hanno in front of him. With a dramatic flair, he puts his hand on Hanno's head and starts trolling him. Tell me, Who's the one causing all this trouble? Hanno is about to wet his pants out of fear. Sung-woo lets the kid go, smirking, and says, "What happened to doing whatever I say? I haven't forgotten those words, my boy." "Get ready, champ," he adds. "We've got a crazy mission together." Meanwhile, the vampire lord feels his principal's death and has a breakdown. He gave him all that power and still he died, so now he's fuming about that incompetent fool. Madame Yang beside him asks trembling, "Will this Bu Sung-woo guy mess up our plan?" And the lord is too proud to take any advice. "Like a bunch of bags of bones could even touch me? Let's handle this banquet first, then I'll finish your curse," he said, closing the subject. Back on the field, our team is looting everything in sight. Han-ho is feeling guilty while holding the vampire daggers. "Man, we're robbing the dead, isn't that a bit wrong?" "Sung-woo, what are you saying?" While looking at the degrees, Jisoo chimes in and hits them with the bitter truth. "A massive slaughter is coming. Did you forget? While all hell is about to break loose near Weijin Castle, our girl asks anxiously, "How about we hurry up and finish off these vampires?" Right then, Han-ho reports that the internet is in an uproar and a massive bombshell has dropped in the virtual world. It looks like these bloodsuckers are luring innocent players with lies of safe camps and free entry just to feast on them. A post by a scoundrel named Manager Wu is practically inviting survivors to their deaths. Han-ho tries to write a clear warning, but our guy immediately hits his hand away. They know how desperate people cling to even the smallest crumb of hope, so a warning is almost certainly useless. Besides, if the vampires realize their plans exposed and change tactics, our boy loses his entire advantage. Since he already knows what the enemy's up to, it's impossible to stop them now. It's best to just go with the flow. He decides to use this time to finish his preparations and turns to Jisoo, asking if she found any useful loot. Fortunately, our girl didn't come empty-handed. Whoever that vampire director's warehouse belongs to, Han-ho acts like he's saving the world, but all he finds is a wireless power bank just to charge a phone. Jisoo finds and brings a snowy white potion called a healing treatment that clears infections. Without hesitation, Sung-woo tries this on Taesung's friend. The poor girl is returning to normal, at least partially. Taesung and his team are grateful, but he realizes how much the girl is suffering. Even if the potion didn't fully heal him, it's better than turning into a zombie. It's undeniably effective. Sung-woo turns to Taesung and warns him in a cold voice. "Keep an eye on him. The vampire lord could take over his mind again." He says without hesitation that if such a thing happens, he'll have to kill the girl with his own hands. But the guy is determined. He says he won't allow this. Our guy's surprised. He's confused. So he's thinking, if you try to cut the girl, will they come after me? He admits that even though they're criminal types, they're not bad people at heart. So he's letting go, but leaving the door open by saying we might meet again later. Then it's Han-ho's father's turn. Bailey works his magic to create a massive safety zone around the factory. Inside, the healing speed is literally skyrocketing. Bailey has full control of the place. Wounds are healing, everyone's breathing easy. Han Honen's mother really does justice to the culinary class. The dishes she cooks give everyone a boost of strength. People are feasting. Jisoo looks at the crowd and mutters that people have finally gotten used to this chaos. Sung-woo is curious if you have a special mission too. The girl is stunned. "What mission?" He's looking at me like he's about to say it. Turns out this special mission was only for our chosen one. Ours gives the girl a way out, saying you don't have to follow me. But Jisoo is stubborn, she says she's coming too. Sung-woo asks, "Is it because of the fire of justice inside you?" The girl shakes her head, "No way. He's just sick and tired of running and hiding from monsters. He knows if he keeps this up, he'll end up dead. He knows he has no choice but to fight to survive." Just as they're getting into deep topics, a notification pings. The first part of the game has officially begun. The sadistic administrator congratulates the survivors, prays for the dead, and then drops the real bombshell. Those who can't adapt. They've already turned into terrifying werewolves. Now hell is really breaking loose. They have to fight both monsters and humans. Only the fearless will make it to tomorrow. The message also contains 4 deadly warnings. This event will last for exactly 7 days. During this time, there's no way out of Swan and Hwasong. Everyone's trapped. But the good news is, the gold rewards are doubling. Every player who clears a werewolf gets a chance to win a random combo card. Finally, One boss monster descends to each region. Those who slay these monsters will own legendary items not even found in the market. Sung-woo stares at the screen. It realizes they have no chance of going to other regions. Jisa takes a firm stand, laying down the law by saying there's no running away, we stay and fight. Han Ho-yi is torn apart because Sung-woo's forcing him into this suicide mission, poor guy. Sung-woo puts it perfectly. Jisa could survive on her own if she wanted to. That's why having them with us is a blessing. But you, she says, looking at Han Ho-ya, couldn't last even a single day on your own. So don't whine. Changing the subject, Han Ho mentions the comments on his forum post. A prosecutor named Yong Dongpa is standing out. The guy formed a guild called Independence, and even built a base for himself with his level 3 pioneer talent. Their goal was to survive and build a safe zone. Sung-woo immediately figures out the man's intention. His goal isn't to get ours to join the guild. Just tell other people, look, we're not bad. He's working on his image by giving a trust us message. Han Ho can't believe the man could be so thoughtful. Sung-woo says more ambitious types will show up if you wait. When his friend asks where they're going, he fires back with an answer, level grinding. And then asks about Han Ho's pathetic level. Han Ho awkwardly says he's level 5. Ours thinks it's just trash. Right then, Kyung-soo stops the car. We've arrived. As they get out of the car, Han Ho sniffs the eerie air around them and asks, "Is this really where you've brought us?" Sung-woo nods with a wicked grin and declares this their new hunting ground. There will be a bloodbath. The back of the cars is swarming with monsters. The tension is insane. Suddenly, a massive, flaming rock lands right on top of them. They hid behind the cars at the last second and manage to escape. These puny creatures can cast spells, but they stand zero chance against Sung-won's skeleton army. While Jisa and the core crew clear the area, our main character explains that these are kobolds. The main goal is to level up that noob Han Ho and, of course, find some shiny new slaves for our Necromancer. He needs human corpses turned into monsters to multiply his power. But we just have no luck. These pathetic kobolds won't make for any decent minions. He already has werewolves at his disposal who eat low-level vampires like snacks. At that moment, Jisa points out the market to him. The parking lot has literally turned into a slaughterhouse, mountains of corpses taking the girl back to those horrific days at the old university campus. Our main character immediately realizes that this place was the scene of one of those bloody training missions. The girl asks if anyone is still breathing inside, but our guy is being realistic. Crowded places are monster magnets, but the icon. That's why the odds of coming out alive are worse than winning the lottery. Hearing this, the jeweler thinks rural areas like Jeju Island would be safer. Actually, it makes sense. Fewer people means fewer zombies. Peace of mind. Jisa breathes a deep sigh of relief. After all, her family is on that island. When she catches Sung-bun's gaze, she immediately gets defensive. She says, "Don't worry, I wasn't expecting to see them anyway. Since his family is part of the elite, I'm sure they've already taken care of things." Ours realizes she's on bad terms with her family and drops the subject without digging further. Smart man. The moment they enter the market, the doors are sealed by magic. Get well soon. The place suddenly turns into a massive dungeon called the Sorcerer's Fortress. To grab your exit ticket, you must take the dungeon boss's head. Just then, a giant magic circle glows beneath their feet and teleports them all to different corners of the map. The party's over, guys. Han Ho falls from the ceiling right into the middle of the Kobit swarm with a thud. The creatures start giggling, thinking they've caught this partridge all alone. Our guy gets fired up at first, but when he realizes he's alone, his cowardice kicks in again. The poor thing's lifespan dropped from half a day to 30 seconds. The Kobits are swarming him, but in a panic, he gets a lucky kill. When the others went wild and attacked, Han Ho says, "Aha, this is the end." But what is that? He's taking 0 damage from those guys. He remembers that legendary ability of the priest class. 10 seconds of invulnerability per kill. The Kobits are in shock, no damage where they hit. They're just staring like glitched NPCs. Han Ho drops his cowardly act and starts acting tough, asking, "Yo, did you losers just call me a wimp?" Meanwhile, the other duo is trying to gather the crew. They get scared seeing the blood on the ground around the corner, but then they see Han Ho has made a pile of kobold corpses. Jisa can't believe her eyes. It says our coward finally stepped up and unleashed his inner potential. The trio's back together. No need to worry about Sung-woo, that man's a one-man army anyway. Just as they expected, our protagonist and his loyal minions are putting the kobolds through a meat grinder. While cleaning up, his mind is on his friend, but he finds someone badly injured while looking for the exit. He's in terrible shape, his HP is bottomed out, potions won't even help him now. With his last bit of strength, he lifts a finger and points to a box. Sung-woo takes the box and asks if there's a potion inside. But when opening the lid, a mysterious egg appears. The item description says whatever hatches from this egg will completely change its destiny. Things are heating up. The dying man whispers that the token needed to claim the egg is held by the dungeon boss. So the boss stole the token from this guy. What a story. Our guy is devastated when he checks the profile. Lying before him is a 5-star legendary dragon knight. He probably got lost in this cursed dungeon looking for the shop, became monster bait, and lost all his coins. He was a late bloomer, but the poor guy couldn't make it to the end of the game. Even if the item says mysterious, Sung-woo knows very well it's a dragon egg. The guy probably gave her this secret to finish the game for him. No time for emotions. New kobolds are attacking, but the minions pulled the plug instantly. Now Sung-woo is dead set on finding that coin and avenging the boy who died right before his eyes. As the minions continue the slaughter, he notices the creatures fearlessly rushing at them like idiots. They're attacking as if they'd been brainwashed. Suddenly, with a blast, the kobold mage appears. Looks scary, but zero action. One of the minions packs up the sorcerer with the others in one move and sends them to the other side. And the moment we've been waiting for, he leveled up. Quickly spamming the ability option to increase minion capacity. But the system cuts him a break and gives him a new ability called Corpse Explosion. Spend 10 mana, turn the corpse into a bomb, clean job. With more on the way, he's eager to try out this new toy. He orders his minions to stand back. The show begins. He steps back, uses his ability on a dead body, and everything blows up. The kobolds out there are absolutely terrified. With the sound of an explosion, right arm bursts through the door like a ninja and wipes out those poor souls in seconds. When ours praises him, that bag of bones is over the moon. Then they find the dungeon boss wrapped in roots, that cursed sorcerer. But this clever kobold has hidden behind an impenetrable shield powered by 3 cores scattered across the dungeon. The description says normal attacks won't work. Our guy figures it out instantly once he sees the shield, of course. While the others fought their hearts out, ours was just kicking back. Until the boss unleashes a deadly spell burst. Everyone below level 10 will be pushing up daisies within an hour. The whole crew is rookies, so they're in trouble. Turns out those little kobolds went on a suicide mission just so the boss could cast the spell. Ours are sending in their minions, but it's no use, they can't pierce the shield. The shield didn't even flinch. Our guy uses his tactical genius to have the kobold corpses piled right at the base of the shield. And boom, it blows them all up. But when the smoke clears, the boss sees he hasn't even got a scratch. And now he's getting angry on top of it. The boss sacrifices his own life to speed up the time. 52 minutes left? Sung-woo is breaking into a cold sweat now. The only way to break that damn spell is to crush the cores. Ours siphons the memories of the monsters he revives to learn their locations. Right arm downs the first core instantly. But for the other 2, they only have 19 minutes left. Hurry up, hurry up. He keeps resurrecting monsters and reading their minds on the go, finding the next target with pinpoint accuracy. They're rushing toward the first floor. Seeing the kobold corpses on the ground, he wonders if Jisoo was the one behind this butchery. When the notification hits that the second core is destroyed, the light bulb finally goes off in his head. So he saw that death counter too. He spots a silhouette grappling with monsters ahead. It's a mess. He says it's definitely that girl and shouts at Hanho to search high and low, though. What is that? The one chopping up kobolds turned out to be our coward Hanho. Look at him, posing all cool with a monster's head in his hand. And she's acting up because you're late. While ours wonders if it's a dream, Jisoo makes a cool entrance and drops in. The girl handled the seed, but he's got Hanho on his mind. When did this kid become such a psycho? This guy thinks he's a hero saving the world. Look at that attitude, you'd think he's writing an epic. Ours is rushing to the next core, saying we have no time for small talk. The timer shows only 13 minutes. Kobolds are forming a meat wall in the inner core. Ours says we can't waste time with these and changes the plan. He's telling the team to ignore the monsters and just focus on the core. Before long, Jisoo even finds the target. Down to the last 10 minutes. With Sung Funen's support, the right arm flies in and smashes that core to pieces. Shields down. Now we have 9 minutes to take down the boss. Our guy is out for blood, sworn to take it out on the boss. And Hona's heroic gas is running out. It's returning to normal. Blow up the corpse, boss. He naively thinks it'll be easy, but he already pulled this stunt in front of the boss. The creature might be prepared. Our guy is throwing this truth in his face. Manhwa, so let's blow up the whole building then. Giving advice. This crazy idea makes sense to our guy. Lost in thought. He gathers everyone and orders an attack on the boss's office. Not a second to lose. They face death at every moment. They're racing against time. The moment they burst in, one of the mages breaks the boss's damn spell with a fireball. Ours is glaring at the boss in a total rage, acting like, "You got anything else for me, champ?" The boss goes wild and turns into a giant tree spirit. He lets out a roar. It crushes our poor skeletons like toothpicks. The group dodges the attack at the last second. Jisoo burns its branch with her sword, but the creature heals instantly. A total pain in the neck. Ours shouts to move back and orders his werewolf to hurl the dead kobolds like bullets. When the bodies get right under the boss's nose, boom, that massive explosion just rips his face apart. They think it's over now that the smoke cleared, but the creature is still in one piece. Just die already, how stubborn are you? Another sneaky fireball from behind. The team's turning the creature into a fire hazard with non-stop attacks. But no, the damn thing's healing again. Just as hope is fading, a life-saving notification rings from the system. The boss has run out of points. It's eating away at him now. That evil smile starts appearing on our guy's face. It turns out that devil has been sneakily sucking his mana with the bloodstone since the beginning. But the boss keeps on attacking stubbornly. Run for it, guys. He's giving the signal. The boss exhausts himself trying to chase after them and falls flat on his face like a loser. Ours takes one last look before heading out and reveals the real surprise. He didn't keep the skeletons waiting down there for nothing. Once everyone is safe, he blows up the mountain of corpses he piled up downstairs. And the grand finale, everything's blowing up. The poor empty soul whose meaning has dried up finally dies off. Our hero, who sent the fallen tree spirit to its grave, pockets a total loot of 12,146. And boom, jumping to level 10. The system gives him a roulette ticket for being the 69th person to reach level 10. 69? Even the universe must be mocking us. The number of slaves under your command increases by 5, while a new, sinister-sounding ability called Death Reaction is added to your inventory. With this skill, she can summon 10 fresh zombies for 10 minutes without hitting her quota. He can now control exactly 25 stinking corpses at once. What a freaking insane army. Besides all this necrophilia, he's also taking the Dragon Knight's insignia. His ego peaks as he raises his sword. Now he's absolutely sure he can wipe the floor with that vampire lord. Turns out that cool emblem was actually a masterless sword. This piece of junk adds 6 points to your strength, but it can't even touch the dragon egg. Because he's not a dragon trainer. The system is basically telling you to get lost. He learns it takes exactly 5,000 days of incubation for the egg to hatch. Luckily, he can shorten this torturous time by slicing through powerful monsters. After doing the math, he realizes he has to wait a full 13 years for that egg. 13 years. Who knows who will live or die by then? Jisoo jumps in and rubs it in her face that this is a penalty for being in the wrong class, saying the system is just mocking her. Sunga suggests a bloodier solution. He says he must cut down everyone in his path to prove he's worthy of that sword. So the more massacres, the less waiting time. Luckily, the sword also gives him extra muscle power. The situation isn't that bad. Ours is grinning at the sight of free power, of course. Right then, Hano says his phone is ringing. A message from Taeseung pops up on the screen. The guy sent to town to scout vampires reports the square is crawling with people, but not a single bloodsucker in sight.